Hi students, I am Vanita, Assistant Professor in Microbiology, working in Maharani Science College for Women, Mysuru. In this video, I am going to talk about one of the bacterial diseases, that is typhoid or enteric fever. The presentation has been divided into two parts. In the first part, I'll be mainly talking about the characteristics of the causative agent of typhoid, that is the morphological characteristics, cultural characteristics, biochemical characteristics, the resistance of the organism towards various physical and chemical factors, and also the different types of antigens present. And in the second part, I'll be talking about the disease, pathogenesis and symptoms of the disease, lab diagnosis, prevalence of the disease in the community, that is epidemiology, how to prevent the disease, that is prophylaxis, and also how to treat the disease. The causative agent of the typhoid fever comes under the genus Salmonella. There are more than 2000 species in this genus which are potentially pathogenic. They can be broadly classified into two groups. The first group is the enteric fever group, which are exclusively human pathogens. Under that, we have typhoid and paratyphoid bacilli. And the second group is food poisoning group, which are basically animal parasites and can cause infections in humans. Here, we are going to talk only about the enteric fever group, which are responsible for causing typhoid fever. Under the enteric fever group, as I said before, we have two important serotypes. One is the typhoid bacilli, that is Salmonella typhi. The second one is the paratyphoid bacilli, under which we have Salmonella paratyphi A, B, and C. Now coming to the morphology of this organism, Salmonella are gram-negative, rod-shaped bacteria. Gram-negative because they look pink in color while doing gram staining, and their shape is rod. They are motile with peritrichous flagella. That means they have a number of flagella covering throughout the surface of the cell. They do not form spores and they do not have a capsule surrounding the cell wall. The cultural characteristics of this genus is as follows. They are aerobic or facultatively anaerobic organisms. They grow best at temperature 37 degrees Celsius, and their optimum pH ranges from 6 to 8, that is near neutral. And when they form colonies in the media, the colonies will be large, around 2 to 3 millimeter in diameter. The shape of the colony will be circular, elevation will be convex, and the texture of the colony will be smooth. For any pathogen, we need to know three important media in which they grow. The first one is the differential media, which is going to differentiate that particular pathogen from all other organisms. The second one is the selective media, which is going to have one selective component in that media which will allow that particular pathogen to grow better and form a very distinctive colony. And the third one is the enrichment media, which will be usually a liquid media, where again there will be an agent which is going to stimulate the growth of that particular pathogen and suppresses other organisms present in the sample. For Salmonella, the differential medium that we use is McConkey agar. McConkey agar contains components in such a way that Salmonella colonies will look colorless, whereas other similar organisms, especially organisms like E. coli, will look pink in color. The reason behind this is Salmonella is a non-lactose fermenter, hence it will not form acid while it grows in this particular media, so it will look colorless. Whereas when E. coli grows, it will form acid which will precipitate the neutral red present in that medium, making it look pink in color. The selective medium for Salmonella is Wilson and Blair bismuth sulfite agar. In this media, brilliant green dye is present which is going to inhibit the growth of other gram-positive and coliform organisms and will allow only Salmonella to grow. And when Salmonella grows in this medium, it will release hydrogen sulfide during the metabolism, which results in the formation of black color colonies with metallic sheen. The enrichment medium for Salmonella is tetrathionate broth, and this is usually used when we want to isolate Salmonella from fecal specimen where many other coliforms will be present along with the Salmonella, which will inhibit the growth of Salmonella. This slide shows how Salmonella colonies are seen in McConkey agar and bismuth sulfate agar. In McConkey agar, the Salmonella colonies will look colorless, whereas the E. coli colonies will look pink in color. And in bismuth sulfate agar, the Salmonella colonies will look jet black in color. Let us see the biochemical characteristics of this organism. Since Salmonella comes under the family Enterobacteriaceae, we need to differentiate Salmonella from other members of Enterobacteriaceae. And for that, these particular biochemical tests are going to be helpful. The first one is sugar fermentation test, and then IMVIC test and also urease test. The basic principle behind sugar fermentation test is we are going to grow the organism in different sugars and see whether it forms acid and gas. Now, if you take Salmonella, it can ferment glucose, mannitol and maltose sugars forming acid and gas, but it cannot ferment lactose and sucrose. There is an exception to this. Salmonella typhi, an important species, produces only acid with the above said sugars and it does not form gas. Hence, it is called anaerogenic. Now coming to the next test, that is IMVIC test. It is a set of 4 tests done together. Indole production test, methyl red test, August-Proskauer test and citrate utilization test. Salmonella is negative for indole production and it carries out mixed acid fermentation. Hence, it is positive for methyl red test. It does not carry out butanediol fermentation, hence it is negative for August-Proskauer test, and it can utilize citrate as the sole carbon source, hence it is positive for citrate utilization test. And Salmonella cannot hydrolyze urea, hence it is negative for urease test. Coming to the resistance character, Salmonella is not highly resistant to heat. It gets killed at 55 degrees Celsius in 1 hour or 60 degrees Celsius in 15 minutes. Hence, we can easily kill this organism by boiling the water or by pasteurization of milk. It is also sensitive to different types of disinfectants like mercury chloride and phenol. Chlorination of water is one of the effective ways of killing the Salmonella in water. Having said that, we need to keep in mind that Salmonella can survive in polluted water with high organic content and in soil for weeks. It can also survive in ice for months together. Hence, we need to be careful when we store the food substances in low temperature or in ice. The last character that we are going to see is the different types of antigens that is present in Salmonella. There are 3 important antigens which are seen. The first one is the H antigen, that is flagellar antigen. The second one is the O antigen, the somatic antigen, and the third one is the VI antigen, that is virulence antigen. The flagellar H antigen is a heat labile protein. It gets easily destroyed by boiling or treatment with alcohol. It is strongly immunogenic. That means it stimulates the production of antibodies in very high titers, and when it reacts with the antibodies, it results in loose fluffy agglutination clumps. The somatic or O antigen is a cell wall antigen. It is heat resistant, less immunogenic, and when it forms agglutination with the antibodies, it results in compact, chalky, granular clumps. The last antigen, that is the surface VI antigen, is a heat labile protein. VI antigen is a polysaccharide antigen enveloping O antigen. It tends to get lost on serial subculture of the organism. It is thought to be related to virulence and hence called VI antigen. It is again a heat labile protein, less immunogenic and usually not used in diagnosis. But it has significance in epidemiological studies and also in vaccine development.